I think it's time for a long overdue update on my 85 250R project. So here we go. As you may or may not remember, back at the end of February, I brought my 250R into the shop and I tore it all down to the frame. The first time this has happened since, I believe, 2001, when I had my frame powder coated what I thought was going to be a dark blue color, but it ended up being baby blue. And I really haven't liked this since. And this was my chance to correct what happened back then, and I've decided to put it back to the original red color, and it's taken a little bit longer than I originally expected, but I think I'm making good progress at this point, and it's getting the attention that it so much deserves. Without further ado, let's give you an update on where we stand. Oh, hello. Wow. I'll tell you what, come inside. There you go. Looking really good. Be done in no time. You might remember my old white 250R I tore down. This was the baby blue subframe. I'm sorry, the baby blue frame. I've had it powder coated red, and it wasn't until I got it powder coated and got it home that I realized this subframe was bent from me crashing about 20 years ago. So you can see one of those is off the ground, one isn't on the ground. But my plan with this is to get a couple of my burly friends over and put that on that towel on the concrete. Have my buddies secure the body of the frame, and I can use those pieces of square tube as kind of levers to get that right side back up into position, because there's no way my brand new grab bar was gonna mount onto that as it sat. So I did pick up a little bit of my mess. This is my motor. I took the top end off to measure my piston. Measured 66.33 millimeters, plus or minus, give or take. But we're gonna get the next size up for my buddy Greg Jr. JR Trike Sports, Junior Trike Sports, and rebuild that. Gonna split the cases, redo bearings and seals, so get another 35 years out of it. Geez, I don't know. I'm very blessed to have projects every single place I look, so I never lack for a project or a mess. Well, that's a nice looking three-wheeler, huh? So once we get that subframe back into shape, this thing will start going back together. I have a silver swing arm. I've got to rebuild the forks, polish the lowers of those. I've got a set of cheetah tires I'm going to be putting on this. I've got a fancy front rim that I've ordered to go on the front, but that is still being made. Here's the fenders that will go on it. They are Meyer carbon fiber white plus dust. I'll polish up my tank. I'm gonna use all the hardware I got from my buddy Greg. All the bits and pieces need to be cleaned up. I think I might paint my motor a color other than black. I'm not sure. Just a lot of cleaning and polishing, and then she goes back together. So it's been a productive night. I had a bunch of time tonight by myself, and like I said, I don't lack for projects, so wherever I look, there's always something to work on. But I think I did some good things tonight, some things I've been wanting to do for a while. So I decided to do a little work on my 250R tonight. Had a little free time, so I started out by taking the 1-inch square tube off the back that I used to straighten out my subframe. That seemed to work pretty well. I noticed after powder coat that it was tweaked from a crash a long time ago. I thought it was just the grab bar, but it was not. So the frame's looking good, ready to go. This is a swing arm from a different machine that I acquired a while ago. I had that powder coated silver. That's the one that came off the machine, so that'll go into my spare parts. I'll be reusing the axle. This is a +4 extended Durablu axle that I bought in 1997, I guess. I'll be reusing the brake. That was purchased right from my dealer. The rotor mount. So I'm going to replate some of these parts. I want to rebuild the shock. I might send that to my pal, Pat Farnham, to redo if he's still taking on work. But what I've done is I'm deleting the gold. So those hubs are gold. I've got some hubs that I've had powdered gold. I'm not going to be reusing these sweet Kenda Vipers that I bought a long time ago. We're going to put some cheetahs on this with different rims. I've got a custom front rim coming. And tonight I decided I'm going to strip the forks down, and I think I'm going to polish the lowers. I just drained the oil out of this one. You can see the nasty mess in there, but before I do the next one, I wanted to show that to you guys. I'm taking my my old fork boots off. These were Daystar, Dynastar, whatever, cheapy ones from Dennis Kirk a long time ago. You can see they've held up very, very well. I just took my brake off, and this fork is ready to come apart. Let's see it. Okay, I don't do a lot of these. It's been a while since I've done this. But we're gonna take out that 10mm bolt to get some of this oil out before we start. This oil has been in here since about 1997, and it looks nasty. It's a gray color, medium gray. Smells. Okay, so that's good. Let's stick this back in there. The next thing I'm going to do before I go much further is to use my impact to loosen these screws on the bottom, their Allen head, before I take the pressure off, so it'll help hold it in place. to that. Doesn't want to move. Come on, girl. Well, I was about to give up. It's gonna get some heat. Let's see if we can persuade this one. So I heat up the end and was given to it, and I think I just buggered myself because my Allen head bolt stripped out on the inside. So right now we're gonna have to reset and weld a nut on the end of that bolt to get it out so we can proceed. So that's just great, no big deal. But I did want to mention I'm gonna be putting these Delrin bushings in place of the pivot bearings, and these were made by Brian Malusian. He's in Missouri, and you can look him up on Facebook to get yourself some. I've got some for 87 200X that I'll be using also, and he makes them for 350X, I believe. But Brian with a Y, Bryan Melugin. You can get some for yourself. They're a good price too. But now I'm gonna have to reset, figure out what I'm doing from here. Maybe I'll just get out my welder and make this happen. To say that I'm an amateur welder is giving me a lot of credit, I think. But the third nut I welded onto that stud, I got it to come out. Combined with the heat and finally getting a good weld on it, it worked. You can see the copper gasket coming out. So we're back in business. This is a technique that my buddy Greg Jr. told me to do a number of times, and here I am finally doing it, and it worked good. So I got to get a new bolt, naturally, but we're back in business. Let's get these taken apart. So this is where we're going to stop for tonight. Everything is pulled apart. The only thing I noticed that's missing is I didn't have that washer in between the upper and lower spring on my one fork. I've got a new set of fork seals, which will be this part. I'll slide those off and get the new ones on. The dust seals were in really good shape, so I do believe I will be reusing those, and I'm going to clean these fork lowers up with some Scotch-Brite, see how they look, see if I want to do a full polish on them or not. If they clean up and I just need to put a coat of clear on them, that's what I'll do. But I think these will benefit a lot from fresh oil. And then my triple is over there. I'll clean those up. I've got some brand new bearings, and I can get the whole front end put back on this thing. I might need to put a different, cleaner shock on while that one gets rebuilt. I do want to rebuild that one and put it back on, but it would be nice to get this thing back into a roller in the short term, even if I'm not done with the motor, which I'll be putting a new top end in, splitting the cases, new seals and bearings, and a full rebuild. And I might paint it a different color. I don't know what color yet. Or just leave it black. I'm not sure. Hard telling, not knowing, as my good friend Eric always said. So we've cleaned up the shop and rearranged a couple things. Got my workbench over here now. And on it we have the forks for the 250R. We ordered genuine Honda fork seals and I can't even think of what the name is. We had one over here. This washer goes between these two springs on an 85. 86 is different. It's one long continuous spring. I was missing one on one side, so they don't sell this anymore. I had to find that on eBay. And as you recall, we had an issue with one of the bolts, and so I bought 2 new bolts and new copper washers for that. These are the old seals. We're going to take these off, put new on. I've cleaned these up in the sink. I was debating on whether or not to take them right down to aluminum again and refinish them and clear coat them, but I've decided I'm just gonna leave them as is. They look pretty good as is, so I've wiped everything down, and here we go. Okay, we have completed that job. Here's the old fork seals that came out. I'll keep this as a spare. That was the good one. The other one, as you'll remember, needed some persuasion to come out. We ended up having to weld a nut on the head of that to get that to come out. So we've got fresh seals, fresh hardware, fresh OEM Honda fork boots. These things are looking like $1 million. So over here I've got some seals and bearings. There's the other seal over there for the hub. So I think I might throw those in while we're doing it. Here we go. So here we are. The forks have been rebuilt. These are the fork boots that I bought out of a Dennis Kirk magazine in 1997 that are being laid to rest. These are rebuilt to OEM specs. We are happy with that. We've got some aftermarket 250R look-alike tires on some aftermarket rims. ITC series, I believe they're called. And this is a custom rim from Woody Helton. He has been making those up. 11-inch rim, so it'll fit on your 350X, it'll fit on your 250R. Here's the table with the rest of the machine. My jug is over with my friend Greg Jr. Getting a fresh new bore on it with a new piston. And over here, we're putting new bearings in my front hub. My daughter is labeling my cart for me so we can stay organized. She's doing a terrific job.
Flippers, screwdrivers, wrenches, AW tips, cloths, A-wrenches, random.
We're very excited. That's where we're going to leave it today. Thank you so much for watching. It's a long overdue update on a project that I wanted to go faster, but this is how it goes. So make sure you like and subscribe so you can keep up to date on where we stand with this. My goal really at this point, because I've got a bigger event coming up next month, I want to get this into roller status, pretty much everything except the motor, because I think that's going to take me a little bit longer to get done. But I got my photo shoot coming up at the end of the month, sorry, mid-month, next month rather. And I just want to have this able to be present for the pictures, even though it might not be done. So thank you so much again. Appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great day.